As you know, there is an e-learning revolution going on around the world. Countries and organizations are exploring the merits of e-learning to drive education. How about when it is used to promote important historical studies of important women in African history? Well, UNESCO has launched a multilingual, multi-device e-learning platform focusing on a selection of women figures central to the history of Africa and of the African diaspora. The platform includes dedicated e-learning modules comprising of digital comic strips, soundtracks, quizzes, downloadable MP3 and PDF files, and teaching resources. Our second interview focuses on discussing the project, the benefits of reading about African women in history, and the multiple advantages of e-learning versus traditional learning or reading modes. Joining us to discuss these is Temilade Denton, a development consultant on this UNESCO project. Temilade has worked at different levels of development intervention with organizations including the International Labour Organization in Addis Ababa, the Economic Community of West African States, and Growing Businesses Foundation. We caught up with her at the Terra Culture Bookstore and Library in Victoria Island, Lagos. Enjoy the interview. Temilade, thank you for joining us on the Channels Book Club.
It's a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Okay. So, tell me about this UNESCO project. It sounds very interesting. UNESCO is getting people to read the stories of African women, female African heroes.
Exactly.
Tell me a bit about that.
Well, the Women in African History project is an e-learning tool. It's basically an internet platform that tells the stories of, well, for now, the first phase of the project has 8 figures in both Africa and the diaspora who have been influential in creating outcomes and impacts in their countries and abroad. And so from Nigeria, we have Funmilayo Ransome Kuti. The platform is made in such a way that each figure has a complete module which includes a pedagogical unit that's like teaching resources, a comic strip that tells the story of the woman figure that we're talking about, a soundtrack, quizzes, and a bibliography also. So it's interactive. It's meant to encourage reading and learning about history, not just in children, but it's also a useful teaching tool. It's meant to encourage people, especially girls, to see the kinds of things that they can do in their countries, things that have been done. I mean, as you know, history has all but been taken out of the curriculum, and it could be a cultural thing. History isn't attractive to us. It's not something that, I mean, technically we no longer learn in schools. So concerning the response to this, it's a bit of a mixed bag, and it is for exactly this reason that the platform was made, to make history attractive to people, you know, to rein in the people who are otherwise not interested in learning about themselves and their culture and their history. History is usually told through the lens or through the voices of the men. I mean, it's called his story. But, you know, I was having this conversation earlier, how easy would it to say her story. But essentially that's what it is. It's realizing that women are as important in shaping outcomes and stories and impacts as men, and not enough light is shone on their accomplishments, and that is what this project tries to help with also.
Now, a lot of the stories, in my opinion, are not being told.
Yes.
They're not being told enough.
Yes.
You know, now, what are the implications of seeming disregard for history in Nigeria?
Oh, I mean, if you don't know, history tells you where you're coming from. If you don't know what has already happened, you don't know where you're coming from, you don't know where you are, you don't know where you're going. And I think that this boils down to how we see ourselves, how we shape our identity and conception of ourselves. So, you know, a lot of people argue that what is wrong with Nigerians is essentially an identity crisis, you know, but I think that with learning about history, it helps us to dig deeper and to know what exactly we are made of, what we can do. My mama always says, know yourself, know because. You know, knowledge is power. That's always the first step. So if you look at other civilizations in the world, there has to be not even just an appreciation, but a respect for history, because you don't want to repeat your mistakes. You don't want to lose a sense of who you are, because if you do, then you have nothing to contribute to the world. You're just a canvas, you know, for the superimposition of ideas and other things that have nothing to do with you.
Now, this project is online.
Yes.
How important is it for us, you know, to drive and promote online reading in the country? It seems to me like a very effective, you know, way
Yes.
of promoting a project like this.
Yeah, and one of the things that the UNESCO Women in African History Project is trying to do is, in effect, reach as many people as possible, which is possible through the use of the internet. Because if you're distributing books, that is costs with distribution, logistics, you know, all kinds of things that could be more useful in terms of use of resources. A lot of people also believe that e-learning could be the solution, so to speak, to the learning gap that we have in Nigeria and in other parts of the continent. I mean, of course, there are infrastructural challenges. People say we don't have electricity, but these challenges are not meant to be insurmountable. We are moving in a direction that cannot be avoided, you know, and it's not just about following one step after the other, repeating the same thing that has happened, because the world will not wait for us, and Nigeria has a lot to offer. So with e-learning, with this project, the idea is to set the ideal, so to speak, and wherever we get to in pursuit of this ideal is still progress. Yeah.
I'm curious, is this the death of the book?
No.
About to happen now?
No.
The book as we know it.
No, never. I mean, I personally truly do not believe that the hard copy book and the e-book are points on the same continuum, which, you know, more of one means less of the other. I think that they essentially complement each other. I think that just because e-books are increasing with their use and distribution doesn't mean that they are taking away from physical books. A lot of people use both, you know, and the advantage with e-books and e-learning is that you can integrate a lot of other formats. So for example, with the UNESCO Women in African History project, you also have, as I told you, soundtracks and comics and quizzes and things that are just not possible with paper and pen like we are used to. So I don't think that one removes from the other. I think that they can both grow in the same direction. And ebooks are better for the environment, so that's just my own personal plus for them.
It's been a pleasure speaking
Thank
with
you so much.
Thank you
so
joining us on
much. Thank you for
Channels
having me.
Don't forget you can always join us on any of our social media platforms displayed on your screen. My name is Olakunle Kasumo. Remember, one great book can change your life. Bye-bye.